Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Christy's Beautiful Life, Series 12 of 30 Days of Sketches. Today's sketch is an exclusive one by Maggie Crowley Miniker, and she is indicating that she wants the circular piece popped up and the stuff inside the circle recessed. That is what she had written on there. So I started with this cut file. It looks a lot like Peanuts, but it's not. It's a bicycle chain. And in fact, it's called Bicycle Chain, and it is from Creative Fabrica. And I really like how it works, but I am trying to figure out exactly how I want to use it. I wasn't really sure if I was going to put the white pieces back in and have the outline. I did remove the line that would cut it out of the circle, that larger circle, so that it would be a ring like the other one. But I'm liking the way it looks so far. I did trim down my paper so that it fits on top of a 12 by 12, and I've got a little 1/8 of an inch reveal all the way around the outside. That blue paper is a Swiss dot paper. I don't know who it's by, to be honest with you, but it does have little tiny dots all over it. And I know that I wanted some of those pieces to be black, so I originally was going to spray the pieces black, but then I thought that's kind of like, then I have to wait for them to dry and they're probably going to curl up. And so what I did is I just cut another set just like this out of black paper. And so I'm taking those black pieces and I'm filling in the white, and then I'm going to remove the inside white circle so that it just has that chain link on the inside. And I really like the way that it ends up looking. I wasn't really sure at first. I kind of fiddled around with it for a while and did a lot of hemming and hawing and not doing anything until I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. It's just paper. If I don't like it, then, you know, I can always start over and do something different. So I knew I knew the look that I was going for. I just wasn't sure that it was going to work out as I expected. So pretty happy with the way that it all turned out at the end of the day. The photo that I do have a Post-it over it because it is of the little girl that I take care of. It is during COVID. She is on a bike with her dad. So they have a bike seat that goes in front of the adult. And in the photo, she's up front and center, and then her dad's behind her. And she's got a little green helmet on, and she's super cute. And the green helmet matches the green that I'm going to be using on this layout. And so that is why I ended up choosing the green. I've got the blue for the blue sky and the green for the green that is in her helmet. And I think in this photo, she wasn't even a year old yet. Well, I know she wasn't a year old because it was during COVID while everything was shut down in 2020. So now I'm playing around with the idea of, do I want to just fill in the dots that go inside this circle, or do I want to add more black? And what I end up deciding to do is add the black just like I did around the inside circle. And in this case, I am going to add them here, and then I'm going to pull that white paper up, and I'm going to back it with some foam so that my bicycle chains are all recessed. But it doesn't look recessed. Well, it looks recessed. The black part looks recessed, but the white part is popped up onto some foam, so that gives it some added dimension, and it looks really cool. And then I happened to be talking to MK while we were creating layouts, or while I was creating this layout anyway. I don't know what she was working on. And she suggested using enamel dots inside those circles. And so that was what I ended up doing. I wasn't even sure I had enough enamel dots. Oh my goodness. And when I went looking through them, I had an entire 1.5 sheets of white matte enamel dots from Gina Marie Designs. And I love their enamel dots. I do always add a little bit of extra glue because they don't stay 100% of the time. But for the price, it's $2.25 for an entire pack, and the pack comes with way more than you would get from some of the brand name ones that you would purchase. So they also come in lots of different finishes. In this particular case, I'm using matte ones, which is great because you can also buy a bunch of matte ones and just alter them with a Sharpie or a different alcohol marker, and they would be whatever color you wanted them to be. They also have like a mirror finish, a glitter finish, and then a basic glossy finish, I believe. So, and maybe even more than that. So I think you should check them out if you haven't already. Now, I do know that my chains are a little bit off center. They're a little bit towards the left more than the right, and that is okay because my photo is going on the right hand side, just like the photo in the sketch. Now I'm going to use some foam tape. I originally was going to cut my fun foam really narrow and use it here, but then I thought, why am I doing that? I have this entire roll of really narrow foam tape, and I'm going to go ahead and use that instead to go around the inside of that circle. I'm not exactly sure where the foam tape came from. I was gifted it by my friend Janie, so thank you, Janie, for that. I've had it in my stash for quite a while. It was really big. It was probably twice the size of what it is right now. Maybe a little bit less than twice, but and so I do use it periodically, but I save it for things just like this, or even sometimes I use it for some shakers. But I do that because it's kind of hard to cut the fun foam super narrow and have it be really pliable where I can kind of weave it back and forth and not worry about it coming unstuck, if that's a thing. And so this particular foam tape works really well for that. And then I'm just going to use some fun foam to back the rest of this cut file. Obviously I had something on my desk there. Oh, it was adhesive. It was adhesive from the foam. And so I'm just going to go for some larger pieces now and use them to back the entire thing. I don't want to leave a lot of big gaps because I feel like it needs that support, and if you leave some gaps, there is a likelihood that it could be indented from the page that is opposite it in my album. At this point, I don't know what's going to be opposite, but because I do use a lot of dimensional items, I think the support is kind of important. So rather than going just around the outside of the circle and the outside of, or just inside the entire square, I definitely want to give it some added support. So also by adding this white foam tape that goes around the inside of that circle, when I adhere the entire thing down, you can't look from the side and see the inside black chain, which I think looks really cool. I like the way that it looks, and it's kind of like it's hidden back in there. You don't get to peek from the edge. Now I'm backing my photo with some black cardstock, and I just buy the 6.5 by 4.5 inch pack at Hobby Lobby, and I buy them in white and I buy them in black, and I do actually have a stack in cream, but I buy those so that I can just use them for backing photos. I don't waste a lot of 12 by 12 paper this way. I don't have to dig out a 12 by 12 to back my photos or anything and cut it down. I just use the 4.5 by 6.5, and then I don't normally leave leave it at that size. Obviously, I cut it down so that it's usually a little closer to like 4.25 by 6.25, and then I don't feel bad about wasting that extra little slip of paper that I've cut off a quarter of an inch or whatever. That just goes in the trash. Now if you do that with a big 12 by 12, you have a lot of excess paper, and then you end up filling up your bin of scrap paper really quickly that way. So now I'm using 2 different sizes of these enamel dots, throwing a little glue down in each one of these circles, and I am just placing them right over the top of the hole that was cut by my Silhouette Cameo when I cut this cut file out. And I really like the way that this looks because they are all recessed as well, since the white is all popped up. They're not like sticking up off the page or anything, and I like the way that that looks. Now I can also put my wood veneer piece right over the top because they are recessed. I'm not going to end up using those 2 small bicycles. I pulled out all the bicycles that I had in wood just to see which one I wanted to use. I end up using the large one, and don't end up using any of those small ones. I thought it ended up being too much. Now I am supporting the inside of, or the side of my photo that is over the recessed area, and just using a little fun foam for that. I have this green acrylic piece that says "Oh yeah," and I thought I'd go ahead and use that. I also have a bicycle, not a bicycle, a gear from a layout I did a couple days ago, and I have a second gear that is white still, and I'm going to spray it to match. I'm going to spray it with some dilutions in polished jade to change the color to match this other one that I've got off to the right side there. I do want to frame my entire layout with this plaid paper, and what I did was I just took I trimmed it down to be the size that I want it to be for the outside, and then I just went with about 1/4 of an inch and cut it with my trimmer to create a frame. I don't normally do this, but I really like the way that it looks. I felt like that white piece needed something right over the top, and I really liked this piece of paper. It is an older, close to my heart paper, and it's got the green and the blue, so the lines are both those colors there, and so I thought that worked perfectly, and I really like how it finishes off this layout. Just kind of changes everything up, and it brings it all together. So I'm just using some liquid glue to adhere that down so I can make sure I get it aligned easily. If I use my ATG, it's much more difficult to pick it up and move it over just a smidge if it's not aligned properly, especially now that it's cut down so much. So using the liquid glue allows me to kind of play with it until I get it in the right spot and have it lined just right. Now I'm going through my green ephemera bin. It's stickers, ephemera, bits and pieces that I've maybe had from different collections, or even some things that I've die cut that are in green, and I'm pulling out some things that I think will work for this particular layout. As I was in the midst of pulling things out, I thought about I needed to go and spray that other gear so that it would be dry when I wanted to use it. So that is why I took a quick departure there for a moment to go ahead and spray that other gear so it would have some drying time. So I'm really liking the way that these pieces are working together. I don't really want all of that one that says the Great Outdoors to show. I don't like the bottom half of it is more like camping related. So I just kind of tuck that behind the photo and just let it say the Great Outdoors, because that's where they're at. You know, biking is also outdoors a lot of the time, or most of the time. And so I thought that would work really well there. I also liked these clouds. They just have the right color of green on them, and I'm pretty happy with the way that this ends up turning out. Using some liquid glue to adhere down that acrylic piece that says "Oh yeah," and I think I left the paper backer on it, so it's definitely going to stick really well because of that. Hopefully it never comes unattached from the paper backer. Those things are stuck on there pretty darn good, so I don't think it's ever going to have a problem. And then I did end up cutting this gear in half, because then I can use it in 2 spots rather than in 1 spot. And the other gear that I'm putting up here, I am tucking it in because you're seeing pretty much more than half of it by the time it's all tucked in. And so I didn't cut that one down. I just cut the smaller of the 2 down. And then I did trim off the white around this piece that says the Great Outdoors, because it had a huge white border around it and I didn't really want that. And so it looks much better just trimmed down. I have a label there that has a green border on it. Some of these little clouds, I'm liking the way that those are looking. The clouds and the piece that says Great Outdoors I believe are all from the same collection. It was on my Mind's Eye collection. And I think the piece that has the date on it is possibly also from that collection. And then the heart piece is a Paige Evans piece, in case you're interested in knowing any of that. So I just tuck the excess, or the second half of the gear that's behind the bicycle behind this cloud. And I know that it's hanging off the edge, but you're not going to see that when I get this date label stuck up there. I just needed to put a little bit of foam to support it where it goes inside the recessed area. And then I realized that it was on top of an enamel dot, so I had to peel that off too because it was making it a little bit wonky. And that is it. I did add a few enamel dots off camera, you guys. more from Gina Marie Designs. And I really like the way that this ends up looking, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, let me know down below, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And don't forget to check out the playlist of everyone who is playing along with 30 Days of Sketches. It is down below as well. And I will see you guys again tomorrow for another video. Bye-bye.